this is going to be a video about something I am slightly uncomfortable doing, because it's borderline what I consider view whoring. But I wouldn't make this video if I didn't think I had something to offer based on my knowledge about Warhammer. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make a few assumptions about what the Creative Assembly is hinting at in their launch cinematic of Total War Warhammer. So I'm going to sort of talk about what we're seeing, and then I'm going to say what it means, if it in any way is indicative of Total War Warhammer. That means Sega is the publisher. That means CA is the developer. That means Games Workshop made Warhammer.
Almighty Sigmar, savior of the...
Alright, so Sigmar is the savior of the Empire and a mythical demigod-like man who saved and unified the Emperor the Empire, the human empire that is, a long time ago. So Sigmar is revered as both a saint, a demigod, a god by some. There are fanatical cults dedicated to Sigmar. People pray to Sigmar to save them from all of the evils of the world.
The Empire, give me strength. For though I dedicated my life to eradicating it.
So this already starts looking a bit gloomy for our mage here, or wizard. He has the book he's holding is clearly tainted by chaos, and the way magic works is that there are winds of magic, different winds of magic, and demons of chaos exist in the realms of magic, and mages, wizards who want to use magic always run the risk of getting tainted by chaos, especially those who lust for power. Now, a way to prevent this is to remain pure, ascetic, and that also leaves you more as a weaker practitioner of magic than if you would tap into the darker forces. So it looks like our mage here is seeing that the struggle against evil is vain, and that he needs more power, in essence, to do it.
It feeds. It grows, devouring all. There must be.
And that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's the sign of one of the chaos gods there that you can barely see etched on the book.
A final answer to halt its advance.
So, in essence, in fighting monsters, you become a monster, and he who stares into the abyss stares back, something to that effect.
The tide of war seems endless.
That's an orc. So the orcs are a warlike race of epic savagery. The more savage an orc is, the bigger it gets. The more powerful an orc is, the bigger it gets. There is a certain hierarchy of orcs and other greenskins where snotlings are at the lowest level. Then you have the goblins, then you have your standard boys, you have your big ones, then you have black orcs, you have war bosses, you have warlords, and every once in a while an orc of such size, power and magnitude arises that is able to form a great roar. And a great roar is essentially an orcish crusade, only motivated by seeking battle and destroying all before them. So that is one of the greatest threats the Empire faces, always having the threat of a war boss rising up, uniting the orc tribes and going for the Empire. And this fellow here, he's riding on a boar, and the orcs do not use horses, they use boars, goblins use wolves for transport, even squigs. So judging by the size of this orc here, he is a fairly powerful one, There are some notable orc warlords. Grimgore is one. Morglum Necksnapper. It would be really cool if we saw these in the game. And here he is riding with his entourage of boar boys. They might be big one boar boys, and the bigger and stronger an orc gets, the heftier the gear he can afford. So the bigger and stronger an orc gets, the more dangerous he becomes as well. Now here we have some flying. It looks to me like they are harpies. We have some giants here down to the right. But these flying creatures might be wyverns as well. Wyverns being smaller draconids. And they don't have forelimbs, they only have back legs.
The brutal, unthinking blood.
And that's the Star of Chaos you saw there on his back.
The twisted ambitions of the undead.
And here we have the undead, and the undead come in several varieties. The undead that we see here heavily hints at this being a vampire, and a blood dragon vampire at that. Vampires that dedicate their lives to martial prowess, and the will of a vampire enables him to resurrect the dead and to command vast legions of undead that he can resurrect them during battle as well, so they feel no pain. You have to destroy their bodies to destroy them, and a host of different beasts follow them. Everything from ghouls, werewolves, direwolves, different kinds of undead dragons, specters. All kinds of nastiness follow the undead, and the special thing about the undead is that the undead are not a threat from without necessarily. There are vampire cults in every major city in the Empire, and the vampire counts are very, very close to the Empire, and even within the Empire. So they are sort of the enemy within, together with Chaos, while the greenskins are the enemy without. And here we have the vampire riding on an undead dragon, wielding a scythe of all things.
Although the brave Dwarven kingdoms stand with us.
The Dwarven kingdoms are at constant war with orcs and goblins. They are, as in many other fantasy universes, they are their arch nemesis. And the dwarves are basically the dwarves from the Lord of the Rings with upgraded weaponry. They have access to gunpowder, they have access to various steam engines, siege weapons. So
Truly, what hope is there?
we have some dwarf cannons firing at a huge arachnid that is being ridden by goblins in a howdah, and they can fire from that howdah, throw things down, and the beast can fight and attack as well. So it makes it a very dangerous but unreliable monster in combat.
Against countless horrors that cannot be named, let alone fought by mortal means.
And here we have a griffin, a preferred mount for the heroes of the Empire if they want to fly about a bit. Wielding a warhammer there, the warhammer being the icon of the game itself and of Sigmar. And here we have a mage opening the sky and calling down I think it was the Comet of Cassandora there, a very powerful but again unreliable spell. Something you'll find in Warhammer, and I hope they implement this, is that magic can both be very powerful and unreliable depending on the winds of magic, how they are in a certain turn, or in this case in a certain battle. And if a mage miscasts, he can lose his mind, lose a level, or even die. Yeah, so if these are Inner Circle Knights and they charge into Boar Boys, the Boar Boys are going to get slaughtered.
And yet all this is nothing before what is to come. It whispers and roars in
And here our dear mage is losing his mind to the powers of chaos.
Dark it is. Against us it is unstoppable. I am unstoppable. I see it now. The beasts that will devour.
So instead of fighting instead of fighting chaos and fighting the inevitable, chaos is destined to devour all life, and chaos will reign forever. Instead of doing that, he decides to join forces with chaos, as has been the case with many who started out on the path to good in the Warhammer universe, but have been tainted, corrupted, and tempted by the powers of chaos.
The world.
And yeah, obviously the rules of Total War have changed since they now adopt an already existing game in the form of Warhammer. So we should see flying units, and I hope they break the rules of... I've talked enough about this in the other video that I'm going to be uploading... well, I'm uploading it right now, but I'm going to put it out with the tips to CA for making Total War Warhammer not a disaster. And what we're seeing there is there are lesser demons and there are greater demons. And the greatest of the demons that can take material form and walk the world of Warhammer will be the greater demons. And there is one greater demon for each major chaos god. And there are 4 chaos gods. There's Tzeentch, the god of magic. The keeper of secrets is a bird-like creature with extremely strong magic. Then you have Nurgle, the great unclean one, a festering pile of pus and maggots, extremely hard to kill, spreads disease wherever he goes, and is a close combat monster. Nurgle being the god of pestilence, disease, rot, basically decay. Then you have Khorne, and sorry, it's not the Keeper of Secrets, of course. It's the Lord of Change. It's the Tzeentch is the Lord of Change. Then we have Khorne, the icon demons being the Bloodletters, and the Bloodthirster being the greatest one, a hoofed beast wielding an axe and whip, flying much like a Balrog, really. And then you have the of Slaanesh, the sort of the deviant of the people, of the demons of chaos, the god of temptation, and he's the Keeper of Secrets, the god of temptation and pleasure, and he takes the form of the Keeper of Secrets. And these greater demons are beings of immense power. They can ravage armies if they don't have the right tools to counter them. Hopefully, this means we will see greater demons on the battlefield. Their cost will and should be ridiculous, but I really hope we will see these guys on the battlefield. And there we have it, Total War Warhammer. They made a new logo, joining both universes. So it's coming soon, and as you know, in computer game speak, soon might be anything from a few weeks to a few months to many weeks to many months to a year. I guess it's safe to say it will be done when it will be done. So everything I've said now is assuming that the Creative Assembly wanted to hint at what we can expect in Total War Warhammer. So in that case, the Empire is pretty much a given. The elves weren't mentioned. Dwarves were mentioned. The orcs, the greenskins were mentioned. Goblins were shown. The undead were mentioned. Chaos, of course, was mentioned, specifically Siege, not the other gods. So, makes me wonder whether those are going to be the main contenders, the starting factions, because there are several other factions to go. There are minor and major factions, and of course the high elves and or the elves and the dark elves are pretty important in the Warhammer world. Then we also have the lizardmen, very important, but they're kind of far away from where things are happening in the Empire. We have lesser factions in Talea. We have different dogs of war. We have the peoples of Albion. We have the Chaos Dwarves. Don't expect to see those at first anyway. We have Chaos Undivided. We have Khorne, Nurgle. We have Siege. We have Slanesh. And then we have one of my favorite factions, the Tomb Kings of Khemri, sort of an Egyptian mythology come to life, with Tomb Kings ruling eternally in Deadlands with sphinxes and tomb scorpions, legions of highly disciplined undead soldiers. Less of a shambling mess than the vampire accounts are. So anyway, enough rambling. I actually had fun doing this, and I hope you don't think it was too much in the realm of view whoring. That wasn't my intention. I just, a bit for my own sake as well, this is what the Creative Assembly hints at, and I think they know they're hinting at this, and we will see what they deliver when Total War Warhammer arrives. And I have to say, out of all of the Total War games, this is the game I'm looking the most forward to, which also means that this is the game I have the highest expectations for. Strength and honor, and roar!